Hey guys, today I want to talk about how to fake it till you make it as a professional sports videographer. But more importantly, I want to define what fake it till you make it actually means in a sports videography context. So, first off, let me introduce John Gray, who currently works as a videographer for the OKC Thunder. Lance and I recently interviewed John on our sports videography podcast called Game Day Glare. And here's what he had to say about the starting point of his journey in the industry.
I got out of college with a political science degree and really wanted nothing to do with that. I was going to be a lawyer. I didn't have enough patience to go through more school. So I kind of was like lost in what I was going to do. And everyone told me, you're young. You should chase your dream. And like, I don't even know what my dream really is. But I knew that I liked professional wrestling. So my passion for that, I had called like a independent wrestling company in Colorado where I was living and said, I want to work for you guys. What can I do? I'll do anything and I'll do it for free. And the guy was like, well, we're really hurting for video and content. We don't have any video or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I think I can help. And I drove home like, what am I going to do? So I bought a GoPro from Best Buy and I had a backpack and I started filming these wrestling shows, and there was like absolutely nothing in my backpack, but I just wanted to give the illusion that like I was serious about what I was doing and that I could potentially have something in this backpack that would be more than just the GoPro that I had in my hand.
As you can see, John's version of fake it till you make it did involve creating the illusion of maybe appearing a bit more professional than he actually was with that empty backpack trick. But more importantly, and also more to the point that I'm making with this video, John didn't shy away from the challenge of working for a professional organization, even if he wasn't super confident in his own skills. Quite the opposite, actually. He basically forced his way in, and once he was in, he had then no other choice than to work hard and look the part.
And through doing that, I like caught the bug of videoing and editing. And I didn't know like how eclectic the wrestling world was for a videographer to like hone his skills. But we were doing like live matches. So now we're putting stuff live on YouTube and all the work that goes into that, doing hype edits, which is really what I caught on to loving. And then doing like promos or any of the green screen work. Like it was almost like its own mini media day every time we did one of those. And I had no idea that like I was starting to craft some skills that I'd be able to use later on, which was really cool.
At this point, I'm sure many of you are thinking that, yeah, this is all good and well if a professional organization is willing to give you a shot. But what if I've tried to reach out to all the sports teams in my area and they've all shut me down?
You don't need to shoot professional athletes to show that you are the caliber of a videographer to work in that industry. To elaborate, if you do want to work in sports, go to where you have access. We all live next to a local high school that has a football team, a basketball team. There are places that you can go to shoot. And really, if you want to shoot basketball, you can shoot basketball. It may not be a Thunder game right away, but I promise that anything that you would do on a game night at a local high school would be very similar to what your MO would be on a night in the NBA.
And if you don't believe that shooting local sports can ultimately land you a job in the big leagues, listen to this soundbite from our podcast interview with Shafiq, current videographer for the Montreal Canadiens.
When I was 16, 17 going into college, I was trying to figure out like what am I going to do with my life, and I saw that there was nobody really like filming like athletes, college athletes, university athletes. So I thought that there was like a service there that I could tap into. So I created my company in 2008, Keys Productions, and I would just go to colleges all around Montreal. Like every single day I was there, man, like filming Champlain, Dawson, Vanier, Momo, Hunsik, like Limoilou, like Champlain, all these schools. And I would offer players like individual highlights. I wasn't doing it for likes. I wasn't doing it for views. Wasn't doing it because I was a content creator or anything like that. I was just like, I saw a need. I didn't have any tape of me playing basketball. And I was like, you know what? Maybe somebody else out there would like to have themselves filmed, you know? And then eventually it turned into like teams in colleges like would see me all the time, and like coaches would come up to me and be like, hey, do you want to create like a team highlight or something like that, team recap of the year of all the best highlights and stuff like that? And I'd be like, yeah. And then I started getting paid for it. And then in 2011, the Montreal Canadiens was looking for a professional videographer. And at the time, I thought it was crazy to apply. Like, I still remember like the day that my mom, like I was living with my mom back then. And my mom would ask me, you know, how's your day, sort of thing. And I'd be like, oh, the Montreal Canadiens are hiring. And she's like, so? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, did you apply? And I was like, are you kidding me? The Montreal Canadiens, like, I'm just like some videographer here in Montreal just filming like college sports. Like, there's no way. And like, my mom's like, no, you gotta apply and this and that. And I applied, and next thing you know, I was a coworker of Lance's.
All right, but another thing that we need to talk about is gear, because we all start with a very minimal budget camera setup. So how can we prepare for the pros if we don't even have access to professional tools?
If you can use what you have, it trains you to the moment when you have all the gear. So like if you only have a 50 millimeter lens, which you should have, I think you should start with a 50 if you don't have any lens. And that's not going to get you the crazy tight footage that we get at a Thunder game. And it's also not going to get you this big wide landscape. But what it's going to do is it's going to force you as a camera operator to move your position so that the frame looks the way that you want it. And even though you don't have a 16-35, well, guess who's hiking a little bit farther to get everything in frame? You are. But now you know that you could shoot that shot with a 50. You know what it looks like with a 50. And now all the variances come from your base knowledge of knowing that one lens. So I say just get a lens and go for it. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but you don't need even two lenses to be a professional videographer.
To John's point, I think that filming with a limited camera kit does force you to be more creative and way more intentional with your cam work. Because otherwise, if all you do is follow the ball and just stick to the same camera position the entire time, all your shots are gonna look exactly the same. So to avoid falling in that trap, please listen very carefully to what NHL videographer Juan Morales had to say on our podcast about his intentionality when filming sports.
When you're shooting sports, you're just there with the camera and like, oh, there's a touchdown, I got it, cool. But what I've learned is the more intent you have behind your stuff, even if you can't set up a light or even if you don't have the time to do certain things, just being intentional on how your shot looks, on how your things are framed up, the angle of which you're shooting at, the way the light is affecting your image. All those things I learned by seeing them on a film set, by seeing how they bounce light, how they manipulate light, how they manipulate the space. So I'm like, okay, what can't I do and what can I do at a sporting event? I can't put an athlete where I want them. I can't change the sun. I can't ask them to turn the lights down. But what I can do is change my positioning on the field, change my angle to the athlete, be higher, be lower. I can change where the sun or the lights are relative to the athlete. I can literally frame the video the way I want it to. And it's really interesting because the one thing I really get inspiration from for my work these days is not social media. It's documentaries. It's things like The Last Dance. It's things like Drive to Survive. It's things like this NHL series, which I haven't seen and I'm really excited to watch. Because it has that extra element of storytelling and intentionality behind it. Cinematography at its core, especially in sports, is just making an image look appealing by manipulating the elements in your environment. And that's what makes a good documentary filmmaker. And that's kind of how I've adapted it into my style.
So as you force your way into new opportunities and use those opportunities to master your craft with intentionality, it's also important to use those same opportunities to develop your own style.
Anybody can capture sports. It's, in theory, in practice, not that difficult once you understand the concept of it. But what sets you apart, and the biggest thing you can do, is understand, how can I take this image that I shot, as beautiful as it may be, or as mediocre as it may be, because you might be starting, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. I realize that sounds harsh, but the biggest thing you can do is understand how to tie in a story with it. How do you hit emotions? Because anyone can capture a social media clip. Not many people can tell a story. And what got me the opportunity where I am today, and I will never forget this, when I was going through my interview process for the NHL, the number one thing they said that caught their eye was not only the fact that I was a flashy editor and could shoot sports at a high level, but there was a certain like pre-game series we were doing with the Argos when I was with them. And they said the way you're able to tell a story in less than 60 seconds was the most impressive thing. The thing is, it's like, you can just shoot sports on this phone to start off. If you can tell a story, if you can add a little something, whether it's audio underneath from an interview or something, if you can make people feel something, that's what will have give you success in this career.
Yeah, I think one of the number one mistakes that younger generation videographers are making right now is using social media to show and tell you what an edit should look like, or what's cool and what isn't. Like a lot of the college sports, they have a lot of young talent that are invested in making their content. And it's really cool to watch these young kids that are just in school making these insane SEC spots, and just some of the stuff's incredible. LSU goes crazy. If you haven't seen, they're unreal. But I think one thing that people are doing is looking at those videos and taking the exact things that they're doing in those videos and just redoing them in another video. And it's to the point where now if I pull up in Instagram and I look up college football edits, I'm seeing the same editing trick throughout all of those edits. And it's a sick trick. They're awesome. But it's just so like uniform across the board that at a point it's like, I've seen two of those and I like LSU's and I'm good on everything else. And so I think just not looking at those and thinking that, that's what being creative is. This is such a wide range video. You can do anything with it. I mean, we've seen that with green screen. Now it's like in your bedroom, you can make an amazing Academy Award winning shot. And there's nothing that, the production just keeps getting less and less for what you have to do to get these shots. And so I think it's just important to know that like, you need to get out and do what you think is cool. You need to use the music that you like. And it doesn't matter if it's trending or if it's popular. Rick Rubin wrote a book, The Creative Act. I think anyone making anything creative needs to pick it up. But it just talks about how we've gotten into such a spot of trying to say, okay, these are my fans. We're at a basketball game. I think I know what they want to hear, feel, and see. And so we're going to curate all that to be directive and show them cheer, fun, basketball, crazy. If you take a step back and you start curating content that's for you, and this sounds super selfish, but if you are creating something that you personally love and it's all the elements of things that you like, whether it's, the color, or I used to put like actual movie clips in my edits because I wasn't getting dinged on YouTube. Like, it's just those things that you like that you can bring to the forefront that are you, that are the creative part of the process. And then no one could judge, because at the end of the day, if you made it for you and it goes somewhere where somebody else sees it, or 10 people have an opportunity to see it, not all 10 are going to love it, but one person is going to notice something and go, man, that was incredible. And that's what it's for. Like, that's what video is for. That's how you make an insane, awesome video. is you make it cool for you, and there are people that are having the same human experience as you. You just don't believe it. And those are your tribe. Like, those are the people that are going to love what you're putting out. And more often than not, if you love it, it's great. I really believe that. If you don't love it, I really think it sucks too. But you have to believe in what you're doing and really love what you're doing, or else you could run circles in this industry.
So bottom line, here's what fake it till you make it means to me as a sports videographer. First of all, it means forcing your way into filming games by any means necessary. It doesn't matter if it's at the pro or amateur level. All you need is to get access to any organized sport and start filming ASAP so that you can get better. So you're not there for money. You're not there to even build an amazing portfolio. You're only there to work on your craft, your skills, and the intentionality behind your camera work. And what fake it till you make it also means is to treat any filming or editing opportunity like you are working for a professional sports organization. Doesn't matter if it's 12-year-olds, 18-year-olds, or 55-year-olds, you should shoot and edit that content with the same motivation, the same intentionality that you would have if you were doing so for the NBA or the NFL. Because if one day an NFL or NBA team does get to see those videos, trust me, they will recognize your talent, your style, and your creativity. Also, always conduct yourself in a very professional manner, whether you're filming on site or you're simply exchanging emails or DMs with a player or a coach. Be professional, be respectful, because your reputation and your professionalism will often get you more work opportunities than your sports videography skills. On that note, make sure you check out my sports videography gear recommendations for both beginners and pros in 2025. There's a link in the description for the full list, or you can simply click on the video appearing on your screen right now if you'd rather watch me talk about it in a very fun and entertaining way as usual.